Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. So, for those of you who joined us last week, we decided to take a different tack and do a little pop culture. And we picked some quotes from movies that we like, more about the movies, more about the quotes in the movies. But it ended up being so much fun, we decided to do a part two. So, if you didn't listen to last week, please go back and listen to it. But this will be part two where we quote certain movie quotes that relate to leadership and mindset. But before we get into it, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. We're on all of them, including YouTube. And want to give a shout out to today's podcast sponsor, to nickmenard.com, the 1% Push, as well as his Amazon best-selling book, Mindset is My Degree. Thank you, Nick Menard.
You're welcome. Hello, winners. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. So any quick thoughts to piggyback from last week before we start off in this week's episode?
Well, received some good feedback already, so that's pretty cool. So I'm excited for today, and hopefully you will like this one as well. But please, at the end, let us know maybe your favorite quote or maybe a quote we didn't talk about, and we can always do more.
Yeah, there we go. So last week I had a movie quote on my shirt. I only have one movie quote on my shirt, and that was that one. So this one I'm just going with the Just Do It, because that's one of my all-time favorite models from Nike. Just do it. Just do it.
There you go.
Kind of like GSD.
Yeah.
Get stuff done.
I can talk.
Yeah, I cleaned it up. Cleaned it up. Awesome.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first this time?
Go ahead first. Last time I went.
All right, let me see. I am going to throw a curveball to people just because a couple episodes ago we talked about persevering and grit and adversity, dealing with adversity. So this one comes from the movie Mulan. Bet you didn't think I would take a quote from the movie Mulan.
No.
But the quote comes from the Emperor of China in the movie Mulan, and it says, "The flower that blooms as adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all." And I think, even last week we talked a bit about grit and perseverance and in the movies that you were citing. And so anyway, I thought I'd kick off this one as almost like a continuation theme from that, because it is easy for people to throw their hands up, wave the white flag, so to speak, and surrender. That's always the easier thing to do. But more often than not, that's the worst thing to do. The better thing is embrace the learning, dust yourself off, iterate, try again, persevere. A lot of times, the difference between success and failure is not talent. It's persistence. Just staying after it. And yeah, exactly. So anyway, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thought was different actually about this quote. About this quote, for me, it's more about the most rewarding thing that you will have in life are from difficult time or difficult circumstances. So if something is easy, for example, let's talk about money. If money is a motivation for you, if something comes easy and you get the money, you're happy, you spend it, you move on. If you had blood, sweat, and tears, and you had challenges, you had people telling you no, you had people telling you to do it, that's not going to work, and then you persevere and you make it work, and the money come at that time, that money will make you feel a lot better than the one who came easy. And again, you can replace money with anything else. I use money right now because it's what I was thinking, but I truly believe so. Mm-hmm. So again, in my time when I was, I was down with the banking industry, private sector, and I just go into a life insurance direct sale, and everybody and their mother telling me no. I did it, and then I make it way more successful than my career in the bank. Well, this tastes very good. And every week when you get the paycheck, it tastes a lot better than the paycheck who came automatically every month from the bank. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that when I was listening to you mentioning this quote, that's how I directly went to.
Yeah, it's like delayed gratification in a way. Yeah. Yep. Awesome. All right, your turn.
My turn. So it's from a movie from the early 2000s, and it's really about mindset, self-worth, and owning your potential, I would say. So this is from the movie Coach Carter.
Oh, there we go.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I remember the quote in there. That's when they're discovering like in that tower on top, and then they just had a conversation, and then he said that. And I remember back in the days I was in my early 20s, and I remember this stick with me. And so when I was looking into quotes from some movie that I liked, I remember directly when I saw this one. And last week I was not able to mention it, so I was glad that you said let's do it another one. So I love that. Fear, again, you said 2 minutes ago, you said the difference between success and failure is usually very small. Well, we always said it's between your two ears. It's usually what it is, because you dictate if you want to persevere or not. And fear will happen. Whenever you are an employee, whenever you are an entrepreneur, whenever you're in relationships, you will always have time that you have fear, that you have a choice to make. Are you going to let the fear dictate the way you're going to go the next step from your fear? Or are you going to smile at the fear and persevere because you believe in the outcome? And I think that's very, very powerful to see that way, instead of saying like fear, like I'm not in the right direction. And usually it's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I thought about with that quote is people settle. They settle, they compromise instead of really going after what they want. And sometimes they miss out on opportunities that they could really flourish from because they settle. So, Yep. That was a really good one. The other one, we'll see if you're on YouTube. It's been here ever since we started the podcast in October. But it's from Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, and it's from Yoda, and it says, "Do or do not, there is no try." And I love this quote. I can't tell you how often I've said it directly or paraphrased it with my sons. You either do it or you don't do it. There's no, I'm going to try to do it. And I just love that, because it goes back to the mindset piece.
Absolutely. Now, I love the way Yoda is talking. So it makes me always laugh, to see that, because it's funny, but it's true. It's all about the way you perceive things, and the way you go for it or not go for it. And it's always, the decision is in your hands. So you literally decide what you want to do and how you want to do it, and that's how it's going to be moving forward. I will have one who is very, very similar that we talked about, based on this one. It's from, again, The Wolf of Wall Street.
There we go. Good.
And again, it's about language shapes reality. Leaders speak with certainty and conviction. And he says, Leonardo DiCaprio again, he says, winners use words that say must and will, not try and hope. And I have to say, in my leadership career, I said that a million times. Because when I see someone, when I ask something in a situation, like leading, I always, telling by asking is my way to lead a lot of times. And so I ask a question to see how they think. Say, well, here's what I'm going to do, and try or hope. Well, I hope this is going to be actually working. If they use try or hope, I stop immediately the conversation. I'm like, no, like hoping, praying doesn't work in business, anywhere. But it doesn't work for me. Like hoping and something happen. Let's try. Yeah, you can try. I may try with conviction. I'm going to do it, and it's going to work. It's not if, it's when.
Right.
All those different things. And again, successful people and people who achieve things in life, they don't hope. They're going to make the work to make it work. And if something doesn't work, I learn and I move on. Learn, move on. And Edison, he didn't figure it out the light at first try. I forgot, it was 3,000
thousands of
before
failures.
he even even get the light to actually work.
Yeah.
So what if that guy was saying after a couple of times, it's not possible?
Hmm.
Well, if he says it, guess it's not possible.
That's right.
But if you keep doing, you will figure it out at one point. So persevere, dare to win mistakes, dare to fail, as long as you don't quit.
Yep. Totally agree. I will use 4 words, 2 different sayings to sum up exactly what you're just saying. One is semantics matter. The words
Mhm.
you use internally or externally matter. And the other 2 words just escape me. So I'll come back to it if I think about it. But anyway, semantics does matter, and the words we use make a difference. So I am going to use a quote. Ooh, there's so many good ones I could use. I am going to say a few quotes
Mhm.
from the Harry Potter movies, but they're all kind of related, and most of them come from Albus Dumbledore. And that one. So
Use this voice.
yeah. So an Albus Dumbledore, all powerful wizard that I'm going to channel right now. A few different quotes, but they I think they're so good, and they're from different Harry Potter movies. It does not do well to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Like that one. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself. Obviously, they're talking about Voldemort, but it's true. Like if you freak out about something, you're actually empowering it. Um, Takes a great deal of courage to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends. And I'll use the last one from Albus Dumbledore since let me see if I can stroke the beard here or whatever on this. Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
So a lot of really good nuggets in there, but basically it goes back to how you view things,
Mhm.
your perception of reality. Are you going to look at something short thrifted, half glass half empty, or are you going to find the seeds of in every adversity there's a seed of equal or greater benefit.
Yeah, I love the glass half full, glass half healthy. It's
Yeah.
all about you look at it.
Hmm.
You know, some
It's the
people see it
same either way.
directly.
50% full.
I know exactly, exactly. Love it.
Yeah.
The next one I have, it's a movie I didn't watch, but when I was looking at quoting from movies and I saw this one, I loved it. And I look and I see that the movie is from 1957.
Oh my! Here we
I
go.
know.
A little
It's a,
history.
it's a movie. It's called 12 Angry Men.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that movie, but
It's about a trial, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a that's a
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a quote about moral leadership and critical thinking. All right. So the quote is, "It's not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others, but if you believe in something that's right, you stand up."
Yeah.
I thought when I saw this quote, I'm like, ooh, even though I'm honest, I didn't watch that movie. It was like a couple of years before I was born.
Couple of decades. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love it. Again, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in something, what if Elon Musk, after saying that he's gonna go to Mars and he's gonna build a city there and stuff like that, and he's gonna drive electric cars all over the place, and cars will be drive by itself. How many times do you think he heard people laughing,
Oh yeah.
people saying you crazy,
Yeah.
like rolling their eyes and things
Mhm.
like that? What if he said, it's true, let's do something else?
Mhm.
So if you believe in something good enough, it's the same with AI. It's the same with a lot of different things. Of course, some people do it and fail drastically, like the guy who created Titan to go on the Titanic.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's because, yeah, I mean, if you watch the Netflix show about this, it's because he didn't listen to the science. He
Mhm.
didn't believe the science and the data. He didn't believe in nothing. He just had a vision, which is great, but without having the science backing up.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. But if you have something, if you believe in something, go for it. My first mentor told me, I remember I was 24 years old, and she said, Nick, if your dreams are not crazy enough that people laugh at it, change the dream.
Mhm.
Like the craziest dream are usually the biggest successes,
Mhm.
but are the most difficult one to achieve. and it's something that's always stick with me. That's why I don't believe in not going for what I believe, you
Mhm.
know. And this quote is actually amazing because you will get ridiculed sometimes, things like that. But who will have the last laugh if you continue and you prove them wrong?
Right.
And again, it's a motivation for me, as you could hear a lot of time during the last few weeks of podcasting, and if you read the book. But I usually get a lot of motivation from people telling me I cannot do something, you
Yeah.
know. So this is why I picked this code.
Yeah, I love it. And I think there's people who really believe in things, but they're so avoidance driven in terms of avoiding tension. Like they don't want to have verbal combatant with people. And so they just don't say anything instead of having their voice heard when they believe about something, especially if they believe something strongly. I think apathy has done more damage in certain regards with certain life events than I think anything else. Just not, you got to be able to have the courage to stand up for what you believe in. You know?
Hmm.
All right. So, kind of a related theme to my previous quote and also what you just shared. This one's from Lord of the Rings. So, just came back from a trip in New Zealand a few months ago and got to see Hobbiton, which was phenomenal. So I'm like, all right, I got to have a Lord of the Rings quote here. And this one is I just love this quote. So it's Samwise Gamgee talking to Frodo,
Hmm.
and they're
Oh.
trying to get to Mount Doom to get rid of the ring, and they're hitting every obstacle possible. And Frodo is about to give up. The ring is just destroying his soul. They're hungry, they're starving, they're tired. And Sam turns to Frodo when Frodo's at one of his lowest points, and he says, "There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for." And I just love that because you talk about the hero's journey, which is the famous way in which you can write stories and stuff. There's always some adversity. There's always a point where they could give up, but they persevere and they go after it. And there's people I think of in my life who are very cynical and sour, especially when it comes to politics. And I don't want to get in a political discussion, other than to say they see the negative in everything, but yet they don't do anything about it. Do they run for office? Do they aid a campaign? Do they go out and get petition signatures or stuff like that? No. And I made a decision personally a long time ago. I wasn't going to give that level of commitment. So I don't get as hung up on stuff because I'm not paying as close of attention because I'm not directly involving myself to make a difference with those things. So I
Hmm.
disconnect versus I have one person in my life. She just, I mean, just gets so negative about stuff, but yet has never done a single thing to impact it. It's just griping about it all the time. And I just can't do that. And yet you see, like you look at newscasts, right? A lot of times they're negative, but they always once in a while will have this uplifting story, right? And it's those sort of things to hold on to the goodness of certain situations, of certain people, the merit, and focus on that, and that is worth fighting for.
Yeah, well said. That's true. They are good in a lot of places,
Mhm.
but if you look for negative, you will find a lot of it. And that's always, there's positive or negative in everything. But if you want to find positive, you will find easily as well. The problem is that the negative, attract more.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, and
Easier
the
to fall
negative,
victim to it.
yeah, and people are just feeling victims, and they're just like that. This is just the way it
Mhm.
is. You're right.
Yep.
Like it. I have another one. We still have time for a
Oh yeah.
couple.
Yeah, let's go.
The next one is leadership through unity,
Okay.
and breaking barriers. So it's from Remember the
Oh, there we
Titans.
go.
Here we go. Early
Yeah.
2000
Yeah.
movie.
Football movie.
Absolutely. Denzel
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
So that quote
This is
from
Gettysburg.
Denzel. This is where they
This is where
fought
they
the
fought the
Battle
Battle
of
of Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. 50,000 men died right here
50,000
on
men
this field, fighting the
died right
same
here
fight that we are still fighting
on
among
this field.
ourselves today.
Fighting
This
the
is
same fight
powerful, and this is true. Again,
that we're
don't go
still
into
fighting
history and
amongst
politics,
ourselves.
but if you don't it's the definition of insanity. If you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that's insanity.
Mhm.
And what he mentioned in this case, the Battle of Gettysburg, who just thousands of people died about a certain ideology. Well, it's the same. To this day, you still have the same ideology what people are fighting about. So
Mhm.
if you don't change the way you think, or you just act like you mentioned just before on things that you don't like, you should not put energy into those things.
Mhm.
So pay attention of what you listen to, who you listen to, how often you listen to it, and again, who are the 5 people you surround yourself the most, because those people are you're probably gonna be they usually say you are the average. You earn the average of the 5 people who spend the most time with.
Right.
So if you have 5 people who spend the most time with, and they make $50,000 in average, you're probably gonna make $50,000 in average. If you spend people who make like $1 million, you will probably be closer to the $1 million, because you listen to them,
Oh,
you
yeah.
inspire yourself from them, you learn from their mistakes and their success, and you impregnate yourself. That's why you rarely see a very successful person hanging with people who have zero success in life,
Right.
and that's usually the case.
Yeah, 100%. No, love it. Love it. I want to save this one quote for last. So I think we have enough time where I could go a different route. So uh, I love the Godfather movies, especially the first two. And there's one that I've used in business that has served me well in terms of reading the tea leaves, navigating through the margins, and influencing things in a way that are aligned with my principles and how we should go. And that is in Godfather 2, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And I always thought that had a lot of wisdom to it. Because again, if there's people who you feel you're adversarial with, there's a lot you can learn from those situations in a lot of different ways, and that can help candidly propel you forward. And especially if they're very actively like against you, they're not a fan of you or whatever. Why wouldn't you want them closer so you have a better understanding of what they may be saying or doing, so that you can act accordingly?
I know. And in business, you can change enemy to competition.
Yes.
If you don't know what I know you need to focus on your own product or service or anything like that, but it's important to understand how your main competition are doing things. So you see if you need to learn something to get a step closer or in front of them, or what else they're coming up with, or things like that.
Or a gap.
Yeah, the gap. Yeah,
So you got a competitive advantage.
exactly. So I agree wholeheartedly in this. It's amazing. Good. My last one.
Okay.
It's a short one, and it's about legacy, purpose, and impact and
Oh
leadership.
no, are you gonna take mine?
Gladiator.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
it's
were.
true.
That's the one I was holding on to. But go ahead, have the
You
honors.
see,
Take the honors.
it's funny. We both had the same one that we want to finish with.
Go ahead. You go for it. I'll find a different one.
Yeah, maybe it's not the same, but I think.
Oh no, it's the same.
What we do in life. What we do in life. It's funny. That proves that we never look at, discuss what we're going to say. So what we do in life echoes in eternity. And this is, we talk business, mostly on Monday. So we're going to continue on this path. But even if you don't say it, you want to create a legacy. You want your name to mean something other than just a number. And so that's very important, that people remember how you make them feel. That's what it is all about. So the impact you have as a leader will last longer than the shortened impact that you may have just because you had one good action that will be remembered for a certain period of time. But how you make people feel within your business, or things like people you work with, that go a long way. I remember some people I worked with in Belgium years ago, and it's in the book that my mechanic, every time he we don't see each other at all like for a long time, but every time we communicate or a little Facebook message, it's always filled with emotion and things like that, even though I didn't do nothing special but inviting for a meeting. But again, just the fact to invite him for a meeting, that he accept that meeting, and now he's multimillionaire because he followed the path that I show him, but he took action and he went way more successful than I ever was. Well, he said, if you didn't ask me when I was under your car fixing your, the thing under your car, I would probably still be fixing the thing under the car. But you gave me, based on the way you said things, and you invite me to a meeting, I'm like, I have nothing to lose, to go. And he went, he listened, he applied, he worked his ass off. And now he's like a machine. He lived in France with a family of 5, and he was broke and he couldn't do nothing, like 15, 16, no, it's almost 20 years ago. So that's what mattered to me.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. And that is a fantastic story. And it's in your book as well. Definitely people should check that out if they haven't read the book yet. I love that quote too. And it kind of what drives me with my current employer and the things I'm doing on the side. It's about certain principles that we believe in, or if you want to channel Simon Sinek, what's the why? The why behind it. And for me, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing any of this stuff for charity, but the money isn't the most important thing. It's about the certain principles and philosophy that I believe that I want to show, prove,
emulate,
work. All right, so my last one, I gotta scramble here.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's a phenomenal quote. I'm gonna go Batman Begins, and Alfred says it to Bruce Wayne, who first his father said it to him when he fell in the cave, and his father had to rope down and pick him up, and then as an adult, Bruce Wayne has an adverse situation and he's thinking about quitting. So I'm going to bookend it to how we started this episode with this quote. And his butler, Alfred, says the same thing that his father said to him. And it's, why do we fall? So that we can pick ourselves back up. And I always like that quote. And I think it says a lot without having to say a lot. So I always like those sort of things. But it goes back to what we're talking about, persistence and grit and resilience and the chatter inside your head. We're all going to fall. We're going to fall multiple times on a variety of different things. It's not about the act of falling. It's about the act of getting back up. Learn, iterate, improve, move forward. And that's one of the reasons I really enjoy that quote.
Love it. And it's really well done in that movie because, like you mentioned, it happened with his dad before he got killed. His dad got killed, and then it happens again because the butler is part of the family. And so he has the same mentality, the same fundamentals, the same belief as the parents. And he brought that quote back. So that's very powerful. And he got up and became Batman. And the rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. Well, winners, we hope you don't find yourself in your Arkham Asylum and instead follow some of these nuggets from these quotes that we shared last week and this week. And hopefully it... at the very least, you got a little chuckle from it, but obviously what we're mainly hoping for is you took some nuggets of knowledge from it and it can apply it practically in your life. So pop culture can teach a lot. It all goes back to, where are you looking? Are you seeing the good? Or are you seeing something else? So with that, that'll wrap up today's episode of Monday Mindset. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. And thanks again to NickMenard.com and the 1% Push and his Amazon best-selling book, Mindset is My Degree, for sponsoring today's episode. Next week, we'll try something different. So hope you enjoyed these last 2 weeks. And as my co-host and best friend always says, if you have ideas, you want to try different things, if these 2 episodes kind of inspired you to think, hey, why don't they maybe do something like this? Please give us a contact and let us know. We'd be happy to incorporate it. So that'll do it for now, winners. Take care.
Thank you, winners.